What's up, Brian Tong here, and welcome to the Apple Bits for everything good and bad inside the world of Apple. And the recent news that just dropped, if you want to believe it or not, look at your calendars because John Prosser has tweeted 23 to reference Apple is planning their first reveal of 2021 to happen on March the 23rd, according to his sources. Now that's a Tuesday, and when Prosser tweets this close to an announcement date, it's been pretty accurate in the past. Now, products that are ready to go for March 23rd, well, we've been talking about them for a while, AirTags and new iPad Pros. Unless you haven't heard about AirTags? No? Like nothing about them for the past year or my last 5 videos? Well, you can check out my Apple event preview video where we break it all down with everything we expect to see. Prosser also says new AirPods, which would be the 3rd generation ones, not to be confused with the Pros, and an updated Apple TV are also ready to go, but it doesn't mean we'll see everything when Apple officially makes their announcement. Now, we don't know how Apple will do this, if it's an Apple event with their fancy video presentations on the 23rd. We'll likely see an announcement next week if that's the case, but if we hear nothing, then it's more likely to be a reveal on their website. So mark your calendars for March 23rd, maybe? We'll find out soon. Now, the other big story with big implications for the future, Apple has confirmed that the iMac Pro will only be available until supplies last. They made the change to their iMac product page with the note, while supplies last, and all previous upgrade options have been removed with only the standard version available to order. Now, Apple told Mac Rumors when the iMac Pro supplies run out, it will no longer be available, period, and customers are recommended to look at the current 27-inch iMac with a 10th gen Intel Core processor, AMD graphics, and a 1080p FaceTime camera, and more. But if they want more expansion, then the Mac Pro is going to be their best bet. And I don't expect we'll see new iMacs this March at all, but they will absolutely be coming later this year because it makes sense for Apple to just sunset this product and then move whatever inventory they have left if they can, because it would absolutely make no sense at all if the iMac Pro still existed and then you got these new shiny M1X Apple Silicon iMacs that they come along and completely blow it away, making the iMac Pro slower than a new standard iMac with an Apple chip inside. And when you look back at all this, you might think that the iMac Pro was a powerful machine, and it was still a great machine for the value, but it also might have been a stopgap that helped Apple bridge the time it took to get to the new Mac Pro redesign and now an M1 chip based iMac, while still at least keeping their power users satisfied for the time being. Now, the iMac Pro was released in 2017 and never received any significant upgrades or hardware refreshes during its entire life, so that tells you that it was never really part of the long-term future. And if I'm right about this, we probably won't see the iMac Pro product line mentioned again after the new rollout of Apple's M1, M1X, or M2 chips and all their future Macs, whatever they're actually popping in them. Now, Apple's rumored new iMac is expected to be completely redesigned. We've seen all the reports inspired by the Apple Pro Display XDR with a smaller bezel around the edges and then a flat back instead of its current curved booty, while still retaining its all-in-one functionality and then packed with Apple's latest silicon inside. The latest rumor reports claim that we'll also be getting them in those soft pastel colors similar to the current iPad Air family and bringing colors back to the iMac since the original iMac G3. And I know you're going to either love them or hate the color palette, but most of you're just going to keep it safe with either silver or space gray anyways. But I would love to see, a completely white version in this mix as well. It would just be another callback to the roots of that sunflower inspired iMac with the display on that pedestal design. So no new iMacs at this March announcement. It would be a big surprise if we see them, but I don't expect it to happen. Now, we still don't know exactly what kind of speeds we'll also be getting from these new iMacs or any of the new Macs. In late February, a leak on benchmarking site CPU Monkey claimed that the M1X processor will feature 12 CPU cores with 8 high-performance ones and then 4 high-efficiency ones. That's compared to the current M1 with 8 CPU cores with 4 high performance and then 4 high efficiency cores. Now, their benchmarks also showed that the M1X chip would feature a 16 GPU core with 256 execution units. That's double the 128 found in Apple's M1 chip. These leaks were believed to be for Apple M1X chips made for the potentially new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros and not the iMac. So they could easily put these in the iMacs, but then rumors have claimed that Apple is working on even beefier 32-core CPUs for Mac Pros and 32-core GPUs for higher-end MacBooks. So this M1X chip might even be, let's call it a transitional chip to get to the M2, but come on, this is still just going to be an absolute beast. Now, the processing power and the efficiency from Apple's current M1 chip is already just sending ripples through the entire industry with their combined power and efficiency. It's arguably the most exciting thing happening with Apple today and in the future. And that's really saying a lot because they happen to also have the best-selling smartwatch in the industry that's only made for Apple's ecosystem with the Apple Watch. Now, we know that it has still so much more potential, but another report, this time from ET News, says the Apple Watch Series 7 will feature a first-of-its-kind blood glucose monitoring system with a non-invasive optical sensor. Now, this isn't new news, but it's another outlet that's adding to the collective reports that we can expect to see blood sugar monitoring in this year's Apple Watch to help manage diabetes. And this is an absolutely transformative feature for people's health because worldwide there's an estimated 463 million people that are diagnosed with diabetes. 33 million people suffer from atrial fibrillation, and we've seen how important the Apple Watch ECG monitor has been to help detect that. We also know the Apple Watch has just legitimately saved lives. I mean, there's so many stories out there that you can read. And now, if you can add a glucose sensor that's non-invasive and does not require a single prick of blood, you're taking this Apple Watch to another level. Now, reports say that Apple has been working on this since 2017, and the only other reports that we've heard about the new Apple Watch are maybe for a potential micro LED display, solid state buttons with potential better battery life, but there's really been no concrete information about it yet. To me, if they just release a Series 7 with this glucose monitoring sensor and then the ability to set it up on its own without the need for an iPhone at all, nothing else, just the watch, the sales of this model are just going to absolutely explode. That's all they really need to do with the Series 7 to make it a success, but we really still have a long ways to go before we get to Apple Watch season. Now, if we want to talk about a long ways away, well, the next few tidbits from Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo are exactly what we're talking about. So just follow along with this one. In a recent research note, Kuo says Apple plans to release the rumored Apple AR/VR headset sometime in mid-2022. This would be the over-the-head device first revealed in a sketch from The Information earlier this year. That's what we've heard from other reports so far. Now, Kuo says some of the headset prototypes weigh 200 to 300 grams, but will be reduced to 100 to 200 grams if Apple can resolve some technical issues. That is significantly lighter than current headsets. For example, the Oculus Quest 2, my favorite, it weighs 503 grams, but again, none of this information about Apple's headset is official yet. Kuo adds that it will use Sony micro OLED displays and also offer a see-through experience for augmented reality, but it will be a combo VR and AR device. Now, his report differs from others that primarily say that the headset will be both VR and AR, but will focus more on VR and then will be priced somewhere around $3,000. Kuo says Apple's first headset in mid-2022 that we expect to see will cost $1,000. And it almost feels like they're talking about two different products here. Ming-Chi Kuo's research note says Apple's augmented reality glasses, those are the slim down ones, really that form factor that everyone is really hoping to see. That will launch in 2025 at the earliest, and says there's no prototype for it yet. But here's where I start rolling my eyes, because in Kuo's report, he also looks into the future and predicts that Apple will launch contact lenses at some point after 2030 and bring an era of visible computing, but offered no details whatsoever. Now, look, I know there are stories and videos that might run with that as a headline, and at the same time, you know, it might happen one day, but with no evidence other than that's what he thinks, Kuo has got to slow his roll, even if he wants the clicks. And to me, that's more like Ming-Chi no, and that's a bad apple. I mean, come on, the guy works hard and he has given us so much over the years, but we're talking about products past 2030? Come on now, let's get back down to earth now, all right? Okay, everybody, that's going to do it for this week's video. If you like what you see, give me that thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell, ding, to get all my videos when they drop. And if you want more of that Apple goodness, you can check out my Apple Bits XL audio podcast to get the latest deep dive with all these stories and new ones every week with special guests. Plus, you can also support all of my work at patreon.com/Brian Tong. You'll get rewards at each contribution level, early access to my content, and a completely ad-free version of the podcast. And it allows me to continue to put out all this content and supports everything I do. So thank you for all your support at patreon.com/Brian Tong. All right, that's going to do it, everybody. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Take care and be safe. Peace and love.